The last thing I expected to discover on my best friend's phone was my own name. But when I saw what she had changed it to, my heart dropped so suddenly that for a few seconds, I forgot how to breathe. It wasn't my real name. It wasn't a nickname she had teased me with for years. It was something much more personal, something that made me wonder how long she had been carrying a feeling I had never noticed. And the worst part was that she wasn't supposed to know I had seen it. Before we get into this emotional story, if you believe that true friendship is about second chances, quiet sacrifices, and being there when nobody else is, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone you care about, leave a comment, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. You never know when a simple act of kindness can change someone's entire life. My name is Caleb, and for most of my life, I had been the kind of person who believed friendship was supposed to be easy. My best friend, Hannah, had been in my life since college. We met on a rainy morning when I accidentally knocked a stack of books out of her arms in the library. Instead of getting angry, she laughed, helped me pick them up, and somehow we ended up talking for 3 hours. From that day forward, we became inseparable. We celebrated birthdays together, survived terrible relationships, supported each other through family problems, and knew the little details nobody else noticed. I knew she hated thunderstorms, loved old movies, and always pretended she wasn't crying during emotional songs. She knew I smiled whenever I was nervous and that I never asked for help, even when I desperately needed it. But over the years, life started pulling us in different directions. I lost my job during a difficult year and struggled to find another one. Bills piled up, my confidence disappeared, and I began avoiding people because I hated admitting that I was failing. Hannah never treated me differently. She would show up with coffee, groceries, or some ridiculous story just to make me laugh. I kept telling her I was fine, even when I wasn't. She never forced me to talk. She simply stayed. Then one evening, everything changed. Hannah had invited me to her apartment for dinner. She was preparing pasta while I sat at the kitchen counter, scrolling through my phone. Her phone was charging beside me. Suddenly, it buzzed. She was in another room looking for something, so I picked it up only because I thought it might be important. I glanced at the screen, expecting to see a message. Instead, I saw a notification from me. And underneath it was the contact name she had saved for my number. I froze. My name used to be simply Caleb. But now, beneath my number, it said, the one I could never lose. I stared at those words longer than I should have. My stomach tightened. I felt guilty for seeing something private, but I couldn't look away. There was something about that name that made every memory between us suddenly feel different. The late-night phone calls. The time she had waited outside my apartment when I was struggling. The way she always asked if I had eaten. The way she had once told me that some people become family without sharing your blood. Before I could put the phone down, Hannah walked back into the kitchen. She saw my face. Then she saw the phone in my hand. The color drained from hers. For a moment, neither of us said anything. The room suddenly felt smaller. I expected her to get angry. Instead, she quietly took the phone from me and placed it on the counter. She looked embarrassed, almost frightened. I asked her why she had changed my name. She looked away and told me that she had done it months earlier. She said she had started calling me that in her contacts because she was afraid of losing me. Not because she expected anything from me, but because during the worst period of my life, she had realized something that scared her. She had realized that if I disappeared from her life, there would be a hole she didn't know how to fill. Then she admitted something I never saw coming. She said she had almost stopped contacting me. Not because she was tired of me. Because she thought I was pushing her away. She told me that every time I ignored her messages, every time I said I was busy, every time I pretended everything was fine, she wondered if I secretly wanted her gone. She had spent months trying to respect my distance while quietly worrying that something terrible would happen to me. I suddenly remembered all those unanswered messages. Did you eat? Need anything? I'm nearby. Call me when you can. Messages I had ignored because I was ashamed of my situation. I had mistaken her patience for understanding, but I had never considered what my silence was doing to her. That night, I finally told her the truth. I told her I had been embarrassed. I felt like a failure. I didn't want my best friend to see me as someone who needed rescuing. I thought disappearing would protect my dignity. But instead, I had been hurting the person who had spent years trying to remind me that my worth had nothing to do with my job, my money, or my success. Hannah started crying. She told me that friendship wasn't about being impressive. It was about being honest enough to let someone stand beside you when you couldn't stand alone. That sentence broke something open inside me. For the first time in months, I stopped pretending. The next morning, I woke up with a different feeling. My problems hadn't magically disappeared. I still had bills. I still needed work. I still had doubts about myself. But I no longer felt like I was fighting alone. Weeks passed. I found temporary work, then eventually something permanent. I began rebuilding my confidence. Hannah and I started talking again the way we used to, without hiding behind jokes or pretending everything was perfect. One evening, months after I discovered the contact name, I asked her if she had changed it. She smiled. Then she showed me. It no longer said, "the one I could never lose." Instead, it said, "my forever friend." I laughed, but my eyes filled with tears. I asked why she changed it. She said the first name came from fear. She was afraid of losing me. The second name came from peace. She finally understood that real friendship doesn't come from holding someone tightly. It comes from trusting that even when life pulls people apart, the people who truly matter will find their way back to each other. That night, I realized something I would never forget. Sometimes the people who love us most are not the ones making grand speeches or dramatic promises. Sometimes they are the ones quietly checking whether we ate. The ones waiting for a reply. The ones sitting beside us without demanding an explanation. The ones who stay even when we are too ashamed to admit we need them. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who has always stood beside you, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps these stories reach people who may desperately need their message. And before the story ends, I want you to do something special. In the comments, write, "True friends stay," if there is someone in your life who never gave up on you, even when you pushed them away. Because sometimes, the greatest gift we can receive isn't money, success, or a second chance at life. Sometimes, it is simply having one person who looks at the worst version of us and quietly says, "I'm still here." And sometimes, that person has already saved your name in their heart long before you ever realized it.